So here I am at Pacific Central Station in downtown Vancouver, Canada, and I'm on my way to catch the AmTrac train down to Bellingham, Washington. And this is my first time going to the United States in 10 years. So yeah, I got my passport here. Let's go see what it's like riding the train to Bellingham, Washington. This is what it looks like right now, 5 o'clock in the morning, downtown Vancouver. And I'm here pretty early at the station. Looks like I'm the only one here, but this is where I'm going to be boarding the train. And this is the train I'm going to be catching on the way to Bellingham, Washington. This is what it looks like on board the train from Vancouver to Bellingham, Washington. Not a lot of people catching it today. Away we go. We're on the train heading to Bellingham. It's a very rickety sounding train, and it is wobbling back and forth on the tracks. It's moving very slowly right now, but I'm sure it's going to pick up the pace, and yeah, I'll try and get some shots along the way.
Therefore, at this time, folks, the cafe, restrooms, and lounge car are temporarily closed. I'm going to ask everybody to head back to their seats. Prepare for that inspection. Please have your passport out. Please have that blue declaration card out as well. We'll bring the train to a stop at the border. The officers will join us in business class, and they'll work their way through the entire train, including the baggage car. Once they are complete, we'll get the all clear and the okay to go, at which point we'll make an announcement. While they are on board, folks, please stay seated throughout the inspection process. Every once in a while, they'll bring a dog out as well, so just be aware of that.
Well, I am now in the United States. In Bellingham, Washington. Let's go take a look. And this is some mural at the AmTrac station in Bellingham, Washington, which looks really neat. I don't know a lot of the history about Bellingham, but I'm sure I will learn a bit and go exploring while I'm here. But it looks like it was an old-time fishing community, like Swantala was. And here's a map of Vancouver Island. You can see Bellingham's down here, and Swantala, Malcolm Island's right there. It says, on this site stood the largest salmon cannery in the world, the Pacific American Fisheries Company. For 67 years it was the pride of Bellingham and a source of income for thousands of local workers. Cool. So I'm just walking around in Bellingham, Washington, and I notice that there's a lot of maple tree leaves all over the ground. The trees We have a lot of cedar here, but there's also forests of these things, and I'm wondering if they're cottonwoods, but there's quite a few of them. And then there's these weird mounds, and at first I thought they were cow patties, but I'm told that it's some sort of animal that digs these up, and I have no idea what they are, but they're all over the place here. So I'm kind of amazed at how the terrain has changed just crossing the border from Vancouver into Washington State. So another strange thing about the United States that I've been told is you can't cross over into anybody's private property even by accident, or you could get shot, which is very strange compared to Canada. So we're gonna walk around this and head back to where I'm staying. And this is where I'm staying, on the top floor of this little cabin here in Bellingham. And it's quite nice. I wouldn't mind building a bunch of these out at Rauhala. So I'm just taking a look at all the weird stores that I've never heard of. Daiso, Xfinity, Harbor Freight, GameStop we used to have in Canada, and we have Safeway in Canada. But there's a place called Walgreens, and I thought that would have been like a grocery store or something, but it's actually a pharmacy. And then there's a Trader Joe's, which is actually a really cool store that I got to explore. There's another interesting grocery store I've never heard of called Wingco Foods. I'm gonna check it out. But we do have Value Village in Canada, and since I'm here, I'm trying to find myself a Trump hat as a souvenir, and I don't want to pay Trump for one of his hats, but I would buy one secondhand if I so happen to find one. So that's what I'm going to look for. I didn't find a Trump hat, but I found this Mabel's Whorehouse, Reno, where the customer comes first. Is this a real thing? And that is Mount Baker. It's all covered in snow. And it's a mountain in Washington. This here is called a Lucy Glow apple, and as you can see, when you bite into it, it's got like a red color mixed in with the white. And it's actually quite tasty. I've never had one before. Over off in the distance there, that snow-capped mountain is called Mount Baker, and it's in Washington State. You could see it from Vancouver, Canada, but I'm right over here on the border, across the border, I mean, in Washington State. This is what it looks like, and apparently you could only go up there for 2 months of the year. The rest of the year it's covered in snow, and there's a neat effect. I can't mimic it on my phone, but if you were to walk backwards, the mountain gets bigger, and as you walk closer to it, the mountain looks like it gets smaller. It's kind of neat. I'm not sure why, but I've seen it for myself. So I'm walking around a park in Bellingham, and there's these little white berries in clusters. I don't have the app on my phone that identifies plants, so I couldn't tell you what these are, but they're all over the place here, so they're growing wild. I doubt they're edible, but if anyone knows what they are, please let me know. So in the forests here in Bellingham, we have a lot of western red cedar like we had back home on Vancouver Island. And then we have what I think are cottonwood trees, but I don't see too many cottonwood trees back home, so I don't know what I'm looking at. And then we have birch, and we have our red alder. There's more birch here than there is back home. And a lot of Himalayan blackberry that looks like it's just taking over everywhere. Now it looks like there's some giant fir trees. At least that's what I think these are. They look like firs to me. And it sounds like I'm approaching a waterfall or something. Oh yeah, there she is. This is really cool. Wow. Look at that. This rock feature here is pretty cool. It's pretty slippery right now, so I don't want to slip and fall. But I'm just going to walk here just to give you a little idea. People supposedly sit on there in the summertime and go swimming here. And this park is called Whatcom Falls. This apparently isn't Whatcom Falls, but it's a little ways up from here. But this is part of it. And it looks like there's a little walking bridge or something over this river, I guess you would call it, a river. Look at the size of that squirrel. It's huge. And it's all gray, and it's got an enormous bushy tail. I'm thinking those things that are digging those holes everywhere are squirrels, but I'm told they're rabbits, because there's supposedly rabbits everywhere where I'm staying. Look at the size of this freaking thing. It's enormous. Oh, there he is. And now I'm at Whatcom Falls, and there is this beautiful stone bridge going across the river here, or creek. But look at that. It's beautiful. Beautiful fairy tale bridge. So to my right, on the bridge here, they got this slide. It looks like slide water is coming down this slide for whatever reason. I'm not sure why. And then as you're crossing over the bridge here, this is Whatcom Falls. And take a look at that. Isn't that spectacular? It's gorgeous. And this is just a shot of me for posterity in front of Whatcom Falls in Washington State, outside of Bellingham City. Direction inside Bellingham City is Whatcom Falls. I don't know what this slide's all about, but it's pretty cool. All that water rushing down. And here I'm approaching where this slide originates. And apparently put these walls here to stop people from sliding down it, because people would slide down there right into the creek and get hurt. And supposedly it's Whatcom Creek, not Whatcom River. And this is when this stone bridge across the creek was created. Now I'm entering into a forest of fir trees all over the place. So this confirms it here. These are definitely Douglas fir trees. You can see what looks like the tail end of a rat, the 2 feet and its rat tail sticking out like a rat's hiding up inside the cone. That's how you tell if it's a Douglas fir. So these are all Douglas firs. And these are the trout that live in Whatcom Creek. And there's supposedly a fish hatchery right here. And that is probably what that slide is for, is to slide the fish down into the creek, which makes sense. I was gonna say earlier that that's what I thought it would be, but I didn't know that there was a hatchery up here, so I didn't say anything. And sure enough, here's a hatchery. The Bellingham Hatchery. Whatcom Creek. And it looks like there's a dam, and there's a They call it a pond, but it looks more like a lake. Now here's a funny species of some sort of cedar, maybe cypress, that I've never seen before. Maybe these are those redwoods that go down to California. I'm not sure what it is. So this is the pond. It's definitely not a lake. Oh, here we go. Derby Pond is what it's called. But it's beautiful. And look at all those ducks. Look at those friendly looking mallards. Oh, they're so cute. I love ducks. Here are those white berries again, only these ones are in a big cluster of them. And here we have this funny looking cedar tree again. Unlike anything I've ever seen. Only this one's big. So I'm wondering if these are those Californian redwoods, just a very small one. Is Lake Whatcom, and I'll show some more footage of this as I walk down this trail. And here we are at Whatcom Lake. Lake Whatcom. Wow. Just a shot of me for posterity in front of Lake Whatcom here in Bellingham, Washington. This is kind of neat. They did a brick wall along the shoreline here to protect the roots of what looks like a big black oak tree. This is downtown Bellingham, Washington. We're just going to do a short drive through. Nothing fancy, just a short drive through until we get to where we're going. But I just wanted to show a clip of what it looks like downtown. This fan-shaped leaf here, this is Ginkgo biloba, and it is a tree. You could tell from the fan-shaped leaf. It's pretty distinct, easy to tell. And it's a tree that's been around since the time of the dinosaurs. And here it is, right here. And it looks like it's got a bunch of fruit on it that I never knew that existed before. I'm not sure if any of that's edible. It doesn't look like anyone's eating it, but this is a ginkgo tree. And that is really cool. Again, they existed during the time of the dinosaurs. Here is a really cool castle-like building in Bellingham, Washington. I think it's a museum.
It's a Whatcom museum.
It's the Whatcom Museum. Here is another unusual tree I've never seen before. It's got these giant bean pods, and supposedly it's called a mesquite tree. And you can see here just how big these bean pods are when I put my foot up to it. Okay, I just found a really awesome bookstore full of really old books. Aisles and aisles and aisles of old books in Bellingham, Washington. And I'm not kidding, this just goes on and on and on like a labyrinth of books. And you could probably spend days in here looking at these amazing books. Here's this really neat brick art installation off the streets, which is kind of cool. And we have a rainbow crosswalk here in Bellingham, Washington. Looking across Samish Bay. And what's that town way down there?
I think it's
Cool. Very beautiful. Very calm and very peaceful. Look at that. The Samish Lookout. And that is the Samish Bay near Bellingham, Washington. Amazing. Just a shot of me for posterity in front of Samish Bay. At the Samish Lookout. Overlook. I screw up all these place names here. We have Salel, Gaultheria Chalon, here in Washington State. Not very much of it. A lot of blackberry. One cool thing way off in the distance there, you could see there's a light shimmering on the mountain. That's actually a car headlight that just drove there and parked in that boat in the water. And for perspective, this is how far away it is. That's pretty cool. And now that it's getting darker, just want to get a shot of this before I head off away from this viewpoint. Isn't that beautiful? So there's this weird little thing on my nose, and it's called a, what is this thing called?
I forgot.
I have no idea what it's called. But it opens up your nasal passage, and because I have a broken nose, if no one's known that before, and I'm experiencing the world a whole new way that I never knew I could before now, because I could breathe and I could smell things. And because I could smell things, for some reason my sense of taste is enhanced, and now I'm tasting things, and it's a new experience. So whatever these are, I highly recommend them if you have difficulties breathing. I'm gonna see what happens walking through the forest wearing this. What I could smell. Just out on a night walk in Bellingham and came across all these lights. That is cool. And this is my last day in Bellingham, so I'm just walking around some stores nearby the city. I think I'm somewhere else, I'm not quite in Bellingham. I'm just gonna check some things out. This is my first time seeing a fast charging port for a car. And it connects into the front. It's got a slow charge port and a fast charge port. And supposedly the fast charge port takes less than an hour to charge, fully charge vehicle. Pretty cool. Let's go take a look what's on the screen. Crazy. Neat. So I'm outside this place called Still Life Massage and Float. And what a float is basically a sensory deprivation chamber. And I was told before I leave Bellingham, I need to try this. So I'm gonna go in and I'll explain a little bit as we go along here, as I try this out. I'm sitting here in a lounge waiting to go in. What? Okay, and I have to be quiet. But supposedly when you go in there, there's this pod, and you have to strip naked, have a shower, and then you climb into this pod, and it's got this saltwater bath. And you float on top of this saltwater bath, and you pull the lid of this pod over top you, and it goes pitch black, and you're in there floating on this saltwater bath for an hour, and in complete silence and in complete darkness. And I've never experienced this before, so I'll let you know what it's like. So this is the pod, and it's full of an Epsom salt water, and apparently it's so dense that I will float on this. I have to quickly take a shower to get anything off of my body, and then the music begins. I get in here, and in about 10 minutes the music stops, lights go out, and I'm just floating in there for an hour. Then when it's done, the music comes on, I come over here and I shower off. So let's see what this is like. Okay, so I just wanted to explain my experience here with this float. It was took a little bit of time for me to get used to it. I had to adjust to letting go and just trusting the water to actually float me. So I had to every once in a while put my hands behind my back, and that's how I begin in order to let my neck relax. But then after a while, my neck relaxed enough to just sink into the water. Right now the water is draining from the float. And I found for my first experience, it was just enough time, but I think it's something you need to do a few times in order to get used to. But all in all, I would give it a 10 out of 10. It's a must experience to do when you're down in Bellingham, or if you're in an area where one of these things are. Try the float. Surprisingly, I feel quite relaxed, more relaxed than I did when I went into this float experience. So again, definitely a must do when you come down here. So what you're hearing out there are coyotes.
Tell him. Give him a good one. Tell him. Yeah, tell him. Tell that dog.
And that is the train I'm going to be catching here as I leave the United States and head back to Vancouver. Washington. On my way back to Vancouver now. My trip's not over though. I'm going to be visiting some cousins in the city, and then I'll be heading back home to Vancouver Island sometime early next week. So let's enjoy the train ride home.
You pick up your checked baggage before you go into customs today. Those of you with no checked baggage, you're going to step off the train and make a left turn and go directly into customs today.
And here I am, back in Canada at the Pacific Central Station. Back in Vancouver.